Whether you love or hate M. Night Shyamalan, there's a reason he's still making movies, and there's a reason people are still going to see them. Because it's worth the risk. Whether it's something that's universally loved, like The Sixth Sense or Unbreakable, or something that a lot of people found bewildering and terrible, like The Happening, I think we are all eternally morbidly curious about what his brain will conjure up. So I wanted to see Knock at the Cabin twice before I reviewed it, and I'm so glad that I was able to, because M. Night is a director who is plagued by expectations. Like, I like to see it the first time, kind of take it in and be like, okay, and then see it again and meet it where it's at so that I can appreciate and evaluate it for what it actually is. And like clockwork, I liked this movie the first time, but it worked even better for me the second time when I knew what to expect. Because Knock at the Cabin isn't The Sixth Sense, and it's not trying to be. This isn't gonna change the average moviegoer's life, but it's also not out there M. Night like Old or The Happening either, which many people will be very happy about. But this is actually a surprisingly straightforward, taut, mostly single location apocalyptic thriller that is easily M. Night's most tonally accessible film since Split, and before that, maybe even Signs. So I'm really excited to talk with you guys about what to expect, performances, themes, is it scary, all that jazz. A lot of you know that M. Night is one of my favorite filmmakers, but I'm gonna save all my passion and rants and biases for a ranking video that I want to do this month. For now, I'm coming to you as a critic. If you hate him, we can deal with that later. So let's do it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on M. Night and Knock at the Cabin. This movie is a bit unusual in M. Night's filmography for two reasons. Not only does it have two other writers besides M. Night himself, but it's an adaptation. It's based off of The Cabin at the End of the World, a novel by Paul Tremblay with the same basic premise. While vacationing at a remote cabin in the woods, a young girl and her parents are taken hostage by four armed strangers who demand they make an unthinkable choice to avert the apocalypse. Confused, scared, and with limited access to the outside world, the family must decide what they believe before all is lost. We've got Jonathan Groff as Eric and Ben Aldridge as Andrew. They're the main couple. Kristen, I think it's Shui, plays their daughter Wen, and Dave Bautista, Nikki Amuka Bird, Ron Weasley himself, Rupert Grint, and Abby Quinn are the four strangers. This movie is 100 minutes long, and it dives right into the plot. Within the first 30 seconds, it's tense and like the main events are happening. I won't be too explicit about the religious aspect of this film because I don't know how much is obvious to people from the trailer, but it is one of the coolest aspects of the movie. It kind of starts as this great, really real feeling home invasion film and slowly transforms into something more chilling and spiritual. The tension shifts from physical danger to existential dread. M. Night always talks to us about belief in his films and asks us to kind of entertain this other side of things, these big concepts that he's exploring through tiny, typically family dynamics. And the central internal conflict here is whether our characters believe in that higher power when they're told they can prevent the apocalypse by, and this is in the trailer, but sacrificing one of the three of them. And like anyone would, they think these people are like complete lunatics, but as it unfolds, a lot of doubt is introduced in different ways that challenges not only the character's perspective, but your perspective. Something else that I loved about it thematically is that it deals a lot with kind of like modern day current events and the 24-hour news cycle, and not in like the annoying commentary way, but it's kind of blending these apocalyptic themes with our current situation, saying we have this news cycle that's just 24/7 feeding us tragedy after tragedy, and if the apocalypse was actually happening, would we even notice? And so for the most part, you're able to place yourself in it. It feels real, reactions feel natural, and though there is this elevated, unbelievable thing about it, you're able to buy into it. And again, there are two other writers working on this, and those who don't love M. Night's dialogue will be like jumping for joy. I like the odd dialogue. I thought it was well done in Old, but yes, it is mostly absent here. Are you happy now? It is still quirky, all things considered. Like, it is still an M. Night film, and you can feel that. It's just not like overwhelming. But I can't say that I thought this was one of his best crafted screenplays for what it is. My first go around, it definitely felt a bit redundant to me in the second act, and I think people will really just feel like it's a bit safe. Like, it's not doing anything super ambitious. It's just a really well done version of a pretty straight narrow like adaptation. It is surprisingly and refreshingly funny though. It does not take itself too seriously, and everyone is like acting their asses off, like completely committed performances. There are a lot of demanding close-ups that successfully portray the like dread and pure fear that's introduced by this situation. I wish we got more Rupert Grint, but he is amazing. I loved seeing him in this, especially after loving his work in Servant, the Apple TV series that M. Night directs. Nikki Amuka Bird is becoming somewhat of an M. Night regular, and I love her. Abby Quinn, who has not been in that many projects, was excellent, but you're going to be hearing a lot about Dave Bautista, which is pretty expected. He is great. I am on the Dave Bautista train. However, I was actually most impressed by Ben Aldridge. He's like the assertive one, the outspoken non-believer, and he probably gets the most monologue, like impassioned type moments, and I thought he was excellent. I also just love Jonathan Groff as a performer. I thought their relationship was emotionally compelling, and the execution of having a gay relationship at the center of the film felt very natural, but not like they were ignoring it. One thing about the characters is that, like I said, this film gets off to a sprinting start, which is exciting, but it also means that it's not front-loaded with character development. That actually happens throughout the film through flashbacks. So the first time I felt a bit disconnected from them for that reason, but on the second watch I was able to see this through line of character moments that are slowly revealing why they're making the decision that they are. You definitely don't learn all that much about the four strangers, which I admit I was kind of longing for, but I will argue with myself and say that the point is that they're strangers and you're supposed to sympathize and care for your fellow man regardless. Unsurprisingly, it's formally incredible. The most consistent thing about M. Night is that the dude knows how to make a movie look really stunning, and uninteresting camera work is rare. Especially with such a contained setting, it's really important to be visually engaging and precise, and he makes great use of the space with his blocking, pans, focus pulls, always keeping your attention. He even used old, apparently dysfunctional cameras from the 90s just as this sort of method filmmaking to achieve that atmosphere. You might notice like the tiniest little glitches. I noticed one during a dolly zoom, and apparently he just embraced those organic imperfections, which is very on brand for him, and cool little fun facts. We've got Jaron Blaschke doing the cinematography as well, who actually did all three of Robert Eggers' films, The Witch, The Lighthouse, and The Northman, and the score by Herdis Stefansdottir, I think, is excellent and really enhances that tense atmosphere. It just looks and feels great, like on all fronts, which is what we've come to expect from him. Also, be on the lookout for how they use lighting. It's a really cool detail, not only to represent what the characters are going through, but to reinforce that sort of spiritual reckoning and questioning. I also wanted to make a note about the R rating and whether it's scary. It is rated R, but I actually walked out of it wondering if it was PG-13 because a lot of the gore happens off screen, even though the implications are definitely disturbing and upsetting. M. Night has never really been one for gratuitous gore, but I think here it was done because the things that are happening are supposed to be dark and sad and not really used for shock value. It's not necessary to always be showing it. But there definitely are a few gory moments, so be ready for that if it's not your thing. But in terms of scares, this is like an apocalyptic thriller through and through. It's chilling for sure, but it's absolutely not horror, and I think if that's what you're concerned about, you're totally good. There is also a significant deviation from the book that I'm so curious to hear about from the people who have read it. I haven't read it. I'd like to, but for now I cheated and spoiled it for myself and looked it up. And I won't say much about it, but from what I can gather, it's not a terrible change, and it definitely aligns with M. Night's sensibilities. In terms of where this falls in his filmography, I don't know. I mean, I would consider this a good M. Night in that it is good, but it's also accessible. But it's still going to vary for people. Like for me, I think this is going to fall pretty squarely in the middle of his filmography, but I think that M. Night has made two bad movies. Some people are going to hate this. Some people are going to say, he's back, baby, best movie since Signs. Well, the joke's on them because he never left. But I can't tell you how you're going to feel about this movie. It's an M. Night film. Just go see it. I know you want to. After seeing this the first time, full transparency, I was like not completely sure about giving it a 3.5. But after that second watch, I'm gonna give Knock at the Cabin 4 out of 5 stars. The M. Night Effect, one of life's great mysteries. But I'm excited to keep discussing it with you guys after this weekend, do a ranking video this month. I'm like breezing through this rewatch. I've literally only been watching M. Night movies. The Happening is up next for me. But let me know your thoughts on Knock at the Cabin. Don't forget to like and subscribe and keep an eye out for more videos soon. Thanks for watching.